Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from ArtPlace.ca. In today's video lesson, I'm going to basically be starting a series of ATCs, and I've basically going to be going through the whole process, but I have prepared some stuff ahead of time just to save on drawing time. I'm going to be using some packaging, and these are from Energy Bars, and I just have my cutter. And ATCs, which are artist trading cards, are cut 2.5 by 3.5. And when I look at this, when I cut the package with scissors, to make it flat for storage, it's not square. So basically when squaring it up, you'll usually find a line on the packaging that is already square. You can use that as a guide, but what if you don't? All I do is just line it up. I make one cut, wasting as little as possible. And then I turn it, and the cut line, I make another cut. Now I have a square. It's perfectly squared. I'll turn it again, and now I'll cut it down to whatever size I want. And there's a guideline here, and it shows that it's perfectly square. 2.5 to 3.5. And I'll just cut a bunch. I think, did I cut that wrong? Nope. And did I get it? Yeah. That was a fluke. Okay, and I'll usually prepare a whole bunch ahead of time, and all these scraps, I have a little box here, and I just put them in there because I use those. So I'm going to put those aside. Now the project that I'm going to be showing you, and throughout the series, I'm creating only one ATC, but it's usually suggested that you can create a few to save time. So what I'm going to be doing with this one, and I do have one prepared ahead of time, but I do want to show you the process in case you're joining me for the first time. I'm going to take some gesso, and I'm using the Deco Media white gesso, and I'm just going to paint it. Now you can paint it on the front or the back, and I just realized that I actually want to paint the gesso part on the back because I'm going to be using paper. Only because of this print, this is glossy paper. Well, it's not really glossy, it's got a finish on it. And even though if I paint it black, I'll need probably about 2 layers. I'm painting one side white, one side black, but I'm putting collage tissue on this as well. So I'd rather just do it on this part because it's going to cover it up. That way I only need 1 layer of gesso. So white on one side. And I'm using Royal Aqualon brushes with the acrylic handle because I usually let my brushes sit in water for a few minutes while doing my videos. So white on the one side, let that dry, black on the other side. And you're saying, why are you painting this one side black? You'll see. Okay, so you're just going to paint one good even layer. It's better, and if you get some on the other side, doesn't matter. This is just to provide the adhesion. And I'm using gesso because the Deco Media black gesso, it has a matte finish. Because when you see at the end what I'm doing, it'll all make sense. So you're going to do that. I'm going to put that aside. I have one already prepared. So white on one side, black on the other side. So on the white side, I'm going to do some collage, and I'm doing this in a process that way while stuff is drying I can go on and do something else. So I'm going to be using the Decoart's new paper line, and it's the Decoupage paper. This is Vintage Silhouette, and I want text. You can tell I've already used this. Which text doesn't matter. I actually was hoping to have more of the script text, but I don't want to open a new package just for this. So, yeah, that's pretty good. There we go, easy peasy. And if you had them all, 3 or 4, you can collage the whole piece on there and then just cut them. And I'm using the Americana Decoupage. Oh, the paper. This is a glue sealer and a finish. And I'm putting this on the white side. So the gesso just makes it nice and porous, so stuff sticks to it really, really well. And put that paper on there. You can use book paper, that's fine. And I'm going to use my little texture tool. When I rub like this, sometimes I end up ripping the paper, because you do this, it creates friction, friction creates heat. With the plastic, I don't tear the paper. There we go. Voila. And once that's dry, I'll just trim this, but you can also fold that over and then you can prime with the gesso after, or just leave it. It doesn't matter. And I'm just going to put a very, very thin layer on top as well. Not too thick. It'll just make it extra strong. Okay, now let that dry. Put that aside. And while that's drying, put you over there. Put you over there. I've got these little die cuts. Joe found these for me, and I was so happy when he found them. So all these little, not the die cuts, these little wood pieces, and they're recollections. And just found out Michael's, they were having a buy one get one free, buy two get one free, something like that. So he got these for me, and I thought they were so adorable. So I'm going to be using these, and I have a rhinestone as a reminder. The rhinestone is for the eyes. So I'm going to be using a butterfly for this one. And the theme for the ETC series I'm creating is called Fortune Cookies. Because right now we're doing a swap. And so I'm creating a series of videos. And what I'm using now is the Deco Media Tinting Base. And it's not as thick as the gesso. And all it is it's like a primer, just a base coater. It goes on super, super easy. All I'm doing is just tinting the piece here because I want to apply a metallic paint, and it takes too many coats if it's just the raw wood. And with this stuff here, it's at the right consistency. If I had to use gesso, I'd have to thin down the gesso, so more water. What happens when water gets into unsealed wood? The wood swells. So this is the perfect, and it's super fast to dry. You don't need to be perfect. You just want it sealed. So by the time I get one side done, it's already dry. I'll go again, and heck, you can leave it white if you want. If you don't have access to a Michael's, just basically get anything. Go into the dollar store, go to the craft section, find little things. Even if the little kitty butterflies, the sparkly butterflies, you can paint those too. There we go. So that takes care of that. Put that aside. And put that aside. Are you dry yet? Yep. So I'm going to put that aside. And what I want to do now is I want to put on some paint. And I'll be using Deco Media Fluid Acrylics, transparent yellow iron oxide, transparent red iron oxide, and quinacridone burnt orange. And I'm going to put a layer of color. Just a speck. Ooh, that's grungy. Just a speck of this. And the burnt orange is after. And dry brush. Just putting a very, very thin dry layer on this. Not going for complete coverage. And I'm going to paint all the excess paper as well, because when I cut this off, I can use that. It's already tinted. It's easier painting it this way then painting it when it's in the middle paper strips. Then transparent red iron oxide. A baby wipe just to pad that down a bit. And I don't have to worry about going to this side here. I just realized I think my camera is off balance or off level because I'm having to go so far up here. I'm not going to worry too much about this side because I'm going to be covering with paper, but you know what, if you don't have the scrap paper, then we'll just paint that over as well. No waste. There we go. And we're going to be putting another layer of gesso on there as well. This is all the little dusty parts from the table. I forgot to clean my table. Okay, put that aside to dry. Get my butterfly, my butterfly, my butterfly. And I'm going to be using a round brush that might be a little bit big. That's pretty good. Deco Art Dazzling Metallics, Black Pearl, and Peacock Pearl. Just a little bit. You don't need a lot. I'm going to have to get some more of this stuff. Whoops. Ah, darn, too much. And, oh, I'll put it back in the bottle. And I'm using the blue because it's a contrasting color to the yellow and the red. So I'm going to start with the blue, dry brush, and just apply a layer. I'm also doing this in real time, not speeding anything up. Turn it around. I'm getting more and more emails from people appreciating it in real time because that way and especially from people who have never done it before, or they appreciate the mistakes that I do, that I leave them in the video. So, and if you can always speed up the video if you're more advanced, so it's no big deal. And now I can take the same brush with a little bit of the black pearl and just do the middle of the butterfly. You're going to take the heat gun, quickly just hit it for a sec. It doesn't take long. And apply another layer. Same dirty brush. Because it shades it tones the color a little bit of the blue. So it's not so bright. I'm going to do the sides. A little round brush does the job just well. You can use paint, like acrylic paint. You can use metallic paint. I actually tried the wax metallic finish and it works really well. It's a little bit more difficult. That should have been the black. It's a little bit more difficult to put on because of the little pieces. The wax sometimes gets stuck inside. But you can see everything I'm doing, how it would benefit if you did them all at once. You know, paint all your pieces, like if you're doing the ATCs, paint all your pieces at once. Prime them all at once. Just saves you a bunch of time. For video purposes, though, it would take me much longer. There we go. And let's just go over one more time. And with the black. Blending the black out into the blue a little bit. Okay. There's no way in heaven that I'm wasting all that paint. I just found a big dry glob there. I'm going to put that back in the bottle. And I didn't do any color mixing, so the paint's not contaminated. Okay. And leave that to dry. I'm going to get some paper towel, the scrap there. And I'm going to cut this. Actually, I'm not going to cut it yet. I need to do some scrapping. I need to do some scrapping. I've got all these pieces, and this is just a small, very, very small selection of scrap paper. And these are from a video I did on monoprinting with a gel plate, and I've got my YouTube video is up on that. So I've got a bunch of these. You can use scrapbook paper. You can use this type of stuff here. All we want to do is basically add some texture. And I have 3 little pieces left, which works out well, but I need another one. I'll use that. That'll tie in the butterfly. So I'm going to pull the paper towards me because that'll create that deckled edge. If I were to pull the paper away from me, the edge is clean, but I want that exposed edge. Like that. So I'm looking at doing that, and I want 3 little lines across. I did do a little bit of planning on this one just for composition because I didn't want to waste your time going through my thought process, and all I'm doing basically is just adding physical texture to the piece. So that's what it's going to be, like that. So where's my decoupage? Oh! Put a good amount on there, and I think I was off camera again. Where's my tweezers? This stuff here, the glue is so strong it actually makes your hands a little bit difficult to clean. So when you use this, make sure that you wash your hands. Adhesion is absolutely phenomenal. And this scrap paper is Stonehenge paper, so it's extremely porous. So you need something really, really strong. And the decoupage medium has a matte finish to it, so it's not going to be sticky. I'm going to have to make myself a mental note to readjust the camera for the next video. And I think I missed a spot there. Yep. Make sure you've got good coverage. The last thing you want to do if you're creating an artist trading art, ATC, and then when you send it to somebody or trade with somebody, that it falls apart. Give that a good cover. Okay, oops, not finished yet. Now I'm going to put that on there. I think I want to stain this first. Or do I? Yeah, I want to stain that first. I'm going to let that dry for a sec. And quinacridone burnt orange. Just a little bit. And I can use the same brush and take a little bit of water. And I'm just staining the paper. A little bit thicker over here. There we go. Okay. And while I'm here, I'm going to take a little bit more transparent red iron oxide just to speck. And put that in as well, just leaving some area, like this one here's got about 4 layers. Here there's 1. Here there's none. Just to make it random. And this I will have to dry with the heat gun. This is still a little bit, actually it's tacky right here, which is fine because I'm going to put that on there. Okay. What I want to do first, where did it go? I want to do, where is it? Uh-oh. There we go. I want to do a stamp. I have no idea where I got this, don't ask me. It's just a bunch of circles. And I like this sketchy one. This sketchy circle. I'm using a Stays On ink pad. And they say on the packaging, don't inhale, but I love the smell of this stuff. I don't know why. And I'm just going to, and we'll do one there. There we go. That's it. Use up the excess here because I don't want to clean my stamp. I don't want to clean my stamp. There, now it's clean. Okay, put that aside. And let me just hit that with the heat gun again. I'm going to collage the paper. And it'll need to be a little bit thicker. It's always best to do multiple thin layers. Where are we? Where's the edge? Right about there. And I'm going to press. So these strips here could have been thinner paper, but I like the print that I did on them. And I'm just going to seal that. I'm still going to need that decoupage medium. All right, put this while that's drying. Ideally, what you should be able to get one, well, I'll be getting this one done in a half an hour only because I'm talking. But typically, if you did a few, you should be able to get them done. You should be able to get 3 or 4 done in a half an hour, but it's not a race. So I'm going to dry this now. And I'm going to trim this down. So if you're doing a whole bunch, as you do them, you'll have natural drying time in there. Like when I'm doing these for myself, not on camera, I'll do maybe 9 of them at once. By the time you start with the first one, you get to the 9th, the first one is dry. I gesso all at once. I collage all at once. It's like a little assembly line. This stuff here, all these papers, back in that little box. And I actually have a big, massive box with all this stuff in there. Okay. And we're going to put that there. Yep. Where's my fortune cookie? Oh, there it is. Oh. So before I do that, I need to do what? I have to stain this, then I'm going to repaint that with gesso at the very, very end. And I have to do a stamp on that. What I'm going to do is stamp, I have an ETC block and I'm going to stamp it with Versamark ink emboss it with white powder, and then I can use that for writing. I picked up this stamp for 50 cents at a clearance sale. Oh my God. But I want to tint this, and I'm going to tint it with this color here. So quinacridone burnt orange, a tiny speck, tiny speck. Little brush, actually. A little bit of water. And I printed this little fortune cookie on my printer on canvas paper. So it's got some texture. Baby wipe. And just a little bit too much there. There we go. You can also put your paper on your table, dip and rub, and then you get something a little bit more random. That's it. That's all that's needed. Let that dry. And clean paper. Well, no such thing as clean paper towels here. I'm going to do the back side. And if you don't want to gesso the back side, this is only one layer. If you don't want to gesso the back side, then just use black cardstock and collage it. I have to let that little thing dry anyways, so it's no big deal. And all these little bits and bobs on here is because I didn't clean my unstick mat. And another way that you can prepare these is that you can stamp, if you have like an ATC block, which you probably already know how to do this anyways, you just stamp a whole bunch of cards ahead of time and just glue them. So I'm going to dry this. This does not take long. You can see the shine disappear. Okay. Are you still wet? No, you're good. And a Deco pot. No, can't do that yet. Sorry. Flip that over. Got to do this first. This is going to make a mess, so I have to get a sheet of palette paper. Where's Chaos? Okay, she's not here. I can't do this when she's in the room. Okay, Versamark Ink is makes a watermark, but it's also great because it's slow drying, so it's perfect for embossing. I am not an embossing expert or a stamping expert. This is just what works for me. Always cover that. And this is the part that I always screw up on. There we go. And I actually should put a piece of masonite underneath, which is flat without any paint speckles because I haven't cleaned my mat. Okay, I missed the top of the T. It didn't work, but that's okay. Put that aside. White embossing powder. Make sure I've got the whole thing covered. Never blow. I'm going to get a clean brush. Just going to gently, this is a script liner, gently nudge all this out of the way, just the excess. I know why it's a little bit sticky there, or why the powder, because the gesso wasn't 100% dry. So we know what to do for next time. Okay, so I'm not going to edit out this mistake. I've always done this on... Oh, I like how that's getting distressed. I kind of fanned out the script brush. Oh, I like that. I like how that's really kind of grungy. Always fanning towards the bottom. I'm touching the board to go to the bottom. I'm not flicking it up because that'll put the powder into the air. And other than talking, I would always breathe with my nose when I can. And I'm just going to fold that. Put that aside. Put this paper way on the other side. Take my dusting brush there. Now let's see if this is going to work. I've never done embossing on an acrylic painted piece, so we'll have to see. So nice and close. Look at that. I'm hoping you can see this. There we go. Problem with the did it happen with me? No. Problem with the acrylics, you can burn them if you heat it for too long. So that actually turned out quite nice. You can burn it, so you got to be careful that the acrylic doesn't start bubbling. It creates a kind of a nice effect though, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. So there we go. So now I can take my white gel pen and write down the information on that. So that's that. Now we're going to collage that, and I'm thinking I want to tie in a little bit of blue in there. Just a little bit. I'm going to use that liner brush. I don't want to pour any out. Just want to tie the blue in the butterfly. Just going to line that a little bit. You can see how flexible this is. You can do so much with this. And I just realized I think I want to cut this. I think I want to cut that. That's really long. So if I cut that like that, like that, and I wasn't intending on cutting it, but I think it's going to look much nicer. Yeah. Oh yeah, much better. There we go. You probably couldn't see again. I am so sorry. And just get a little brush. And I can just put the decoupage medium. The more layers of the decoupage, it just creates a barrier layer, so it'll be stronger. Especially here. Good news will be Oh, Joe's home. By mail. Whoops. Oh, you know what? Having it off like, there we go. This does not want to stick. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the butterfly. Now the butterfly, you can also use glue. And then to let this dry, I'm going to put the container right on top and let that dry. Oh, take about 15 minutes. So this is all dry. It took about 15 minutes. And look at all that texture in there. All that texture. The only thing left is to finish the sides. So I'm taking some carbon black. I'm taking one of my pouncer brushes. That's kind of hard. I let the paint dry in that one, so not that side. You could use a cosmetic sponge as well. And I'm just doing the sides. And this is because there's, you know, the paper, the gesso. This just finishes it quite nicely. And I can run it this way to get a little bit more on the edge. You can use any color you want for this. I'm not using any water-soluble ink because I don't want it to come off. And because there's decoupage medium on here, that's not what I wanted to do. Because there's decoupage medium on there, I can put a little bit extra like that. And I can use my finger to blend it. Get some nice grunge in there. Somebody asked me, aren't you too old to use grunge, to like grunge? I just laughed. Seriously. Wasn't a YouTube fan, it was a family member. I could even use the brush just to use a leftover black just to kind of cover up some of the speckles. It'll kind of tone down some of that white as well. But it just gives it a really nice aged look. There we go. That's it. All finished. So I hope that you enjoyed this project. Give it a try. And don't forget to check out the website, ArtPlace.ca, if you want to see and join the latest swaps. Check the latest swap. My mouth is rented. Check out the latest swap that we've got going. And also, I would love to see a picture of what you've done, so you can email it to me or post it in our free private Facebook group, which is a Facebook group made up of artists of all levels. Links to both of those are on my website, ArtPlace.ca. And that's it. I'm going to go and clean up and get rid of all this paint on my hands. So, good news will be brought to you by mail. Well, of course, my partner's going to get my ATC in the mail. So there we go. So until I see you in the next video, stay inspired.